Welcome back to the channel. This one I'm going to be talking about the brakes. Right, let's start with the front and then we'll work our way back. The discs are 300mm Mark 1 Focus, Ford Focus ST170 discs. The front calipers are 4-pot brembos. They're off a Renault Megane 225. They're quite a big caliper in comparison to my hand. They're radial mounted as well. So you can see they mount, they're not lug mounted, they kind of mount on that way, which I much prefer. These custom brackets were made by a nice chap called Richard, who runs Northeast Brakes. I'll put a link to his Facebook page in the description below. He also machined these spigot rings for me. So yeah, you'll see they're kind of two-step. The shallower step is the centre of the disc, and then this kind of outer one with the chamfered edge is 73.1mm. That's for the centre board on these Team Dynamic wheels that I'm going to be running. Right, so with everything kind of stripped off, that leaves the hub. This is off of a Porsche 924. Basically all I've done was took the solid discs off of a Porsche 924 and basically cut the solid disc section off. I then had the edges just kind of tidied up a little bit, and I had some studs pressed in, because what I am running on this car is Porsche 924 cast knuckles. So it kind of made sense to me to try and make a hub out of the Porsche 924 stuff, and then I can just use Porsche 924 bearing kit, which is actually the same bearing kit as the rear of a Mark 1 Golf, Mark 2 Golf, basically any old school front wheel drive VW. I can use the same seal, all that stuff, and the 924s use these kind of, it's like the Beetle style clamping nut, which is much better than the kind of nut and split pin arrangement. These do use VW parts, so that's just a Scirocco lower ball joint. The strut mounting point is the exact same as a Mark 1 Golf or a Mark 2 Scirocco. And these are Mark 2 Scirocco wishbones. I have extended these. I'll leave that for another video. I'll talk about the suspension and stuff as a whole. So yeah, that's the front brake setup. Really pleased with this setup actually. I think it should work very well. Moving on to the rear, these are 280mm Mark 3 Mx5. I think they're also called the NC Mx5. So yeah, basically 280mm disc. This is just a standard solid disc. Matching calipers. So again, Mark 3 Mx5. Mark 3 Mx5 pads. The carriers are also Mark 3 Mx5. Now the rear knuckles are Mazda RX-8. And I believe the Mark 3 Mx5 and the RX-8s use the same rear subframe. They just have slightly different disc setups. The RX-8 one I think is a it's about 300mm disc at the back. I didn't really want to run a disc that big at the back, so I've kind of downgraded, if you like, to Mark 3 Mx5 280mm discs. Mazda PCD on the Mark 3 Mx5s is 5 by 114.3, so I've just had those re-drilled, and I've had the RX-8 hubs behind re-drilled as well, so I'm now running 4 by 108 all round. Again, it was Richard at Northeast Brakes that done this re-drilling for me. So yeah, definitely check out the link in the description if you need something like that done. Now, I did touch on the handbrake in the last video. It's basically, it's a Mk2 Scirocco handbrake. I've cut it, done a bit of a cut and shut, so you can just see the bit where I've welded it together. It's basically just to shorten it. If I didn't do that, it would have been kind of sitting out here, interfering with the gear stick. So it's nice and short. And basically from the old tunnel, from the original tunnel, I've cut out the kind of bracket bit that it sat on, and I've just welded that to this tunnel. So yeah, it's pretty much just an OEM handbrake. Obviously the cables need to be a bit different, which we'll look at just now. Right, so this is the handbrake cables I've made up. These are, I believe they're kit car handbrake cables, but they're designed for Cosworth rear brakes. And it just so happens that these sort of little fittings on the end, for Cosworth, they're the exact same for the Mx5 calipers I'm using, so I was able to utilize that. And then on the actual lever side, I basically just cut them down to size, and I bought some of these crimped ends that have a threaded bit on the end, just like you'd get on a Scirocco or a Golf handbrake cable. And I've got a cheap hydraulic crimper thing for making battery terminals and stuff. So I basically just crimp them on the end, and then they'll just thread onto the handbrake lever as they are originally in the car. Alright, so that's the cables fitted, as I said, just like it is originally on the Scirocco. And works quite nicely. So yeah, that's just a look at the brakes so far. Obviously, as I said, I've not run any of the lines, so it's not a complete system just yet, but everything's mocked up and everything fits how I'd like it to fit. So there's one or two things I would like to add to the system. Probably going to fit a line lock just down in the sort of driver's footwell, so I can basically lock the front brakes, and it's just a bit of fun just for burnouts and stuff like that. Hydraulic handbrake, definitely gonna have one of those. There's a nice spot on the tunnel up in here. I'll fit a hydro if I do take this thing drifting. But yeah, other than that, it's just gonna be running lines and fluid reservoirs and stuff like that. But so yeah, that's it for this one. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I've got plenty more little update videos coming in the near future, so if you're not subscribed, maybe consider subscribing. There's plenty more of this car coming in the future, but until then guys, thanks for watching and take it easy.